right. Hey, Jamison, how's it going?
Great, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right. So this is going to be a quick session. So I will get started right away. I'm going to share some slides. I'll speak and then Jamison will take it from there. Let me just share my screen and present. Please let me know if you don't see this.
I can see it.
Awesome. Okay. So thanks for joining. What's the hot topic in real estate? Today we're going to be talking about confidence in closing and how you can do that with Fairway Mortgage and Jamison's team. So I am your host and can help answer any real estate questions that might come up during the session. And Jamison will address any questions that come up on his topic today. So with that, we will jump right into the main topic.
All right. So this year, there's been a lot of buyers that I have pre-approved that are competing against cash offers. Are you seeing the same thing, Jennifer?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what we're doing at Fairway is obviously, when a buyer needs a loan and they are making offer on a property that could be up against cash, or obviously another buyer with another pre-approval, we want to make sure we can put them in the best foot forward and the best way to possibly win that home that they really want. So I'll go over some of the details on this cash guarantee pre-approval. If you want to go to the next slide. Okay, so getting pre-approved, basically there is 3 or 4 different steps of pre-approval. There is applying and getting a pre-qualification letter that is literally just based on your credit report and what you put into the application for income and assets. That's a pre-qualification where we're just sending a letter based off what you put in there. That's a pre-qual. There's a pre-approval where we go a step further and collect your pay stubs, W-2, taxes, bank statements, retirement statements. And that's a pre-approval where we review all that as a loan officer team, and we send a pre-approval based on documents. There's a next step called an approval letter. And that's where we send your income and asset documents to an underwriter while you're house hunting. So you don't even have a contract yet, and we're getting an underwriter to look at your documents to approve your income and assets. So this is where the cash guarantee comes in, where when we go to that approval letter stage, before you make an offer, we have an underwriter saying, you're good, your income's good, your assets are good, it's all verified. We are 100% going to give you the loan. And that's where we can back an offer with Jen with a pre-approval letter where we can tell the seller, hey, we have an underwriter approving this buyer's profile and documents. We're so confident that we can close this loan on time that we're going to offer you a 10 grand guarantee if we do not close per financing. And we'll even go a step further. If something happens where we don't close per financing, we will, as Fairway, would buy the house from the seller at the purchase price or appraisal value, whatever is lower. So this is like massive firepower when you're, as a buyer, you're making an offer against, let's just say, a cash offer. You could potentially beat cash offers if you have a higher price offer, and we can offer this guarantee to the seller. And being this far ahead in the process, we could most likely do a 15-day closing. So right. That is the main thing, is just going a step further in the pre-approval process to offer more firepower and reassurance to the sellers and agents.
So key takeaways for me on those two, on I have two key takeaways, I should say, from what you were explaining. The first one being going through underwriting and getting fully approved while the buyer is house hunting. Going a step further into how that reflects in making an offer on a property, you're essentially making an offer as if you're paying cash, correct? That's not the case, but you're able to waive financing.
Yeah, basically. So all we're basically waiting on is an accepted offer for an address, ordering an appraisal if one is needed,
Right.
and title work and insurance.
Right.
So yeah,
So one of the biggest reasons for a transaction not to close, and one of the biggest risks to a seller accepting an offer, is that financing does not go through. So essentially there's two guarantees that you guys are making. One, you've already completely shown that the buyer is able to purchase this property. And two, if something astronomical does happen to the buyer that can't be foreseen through any of these processes to approve the buyer, then you guys are essentially offering to purchase the home, or even pay out if something doesn't go exactly as planned.
Yeah, exactly. And if it happens where you get an accepted offer and we have let's just say a 15-day closing, and 2 days after accepted offer, the buyer loses their job. So that would be a situation where the 10 grand or we buy the home is on the line.
Yeah.
But if nothing happens, like that, then we just move forward quickly and close it on time.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a huge advantage to being able to close quickly if that's what the seller wants. And I'm wondering if this would even enable the seller to not have a home sale contingency when they purchase their next property.
And that's a good point, because we're this far along, we can issue a loan commitment very quickly. And once a seller really has that loan commitment, they really could offer not contingent.
Right. Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
as much as this might sound a little different or maybe even confusing to someone who doesn't know the verbiage of, purchasing a home, the key here is that our team has partnered with you, Jamison, so many times that we're able to present this on the offer in a way that really makes it seem valuable to the seller, because communicating this is just as important as being able to offer this. I need to be able to fully explain and write the language properly into the contract for this to even make sense to the seller. And that takes a really good conversation with the listing agent who's going to be presenting offers to the seller.
Yeah,
because I would say there's a good amount of agents out there who have not heard of this concept.
Yeah, and honestly, I have not seen in the market a 10 grand guarantee that high, or the fact that we would buy their home. So that's pretty cool that Fairway is offering this for us. But just so you see the additional requirements, it is only on single family residences that are stick built.
Right.
And then it is conventional FHA or VA.
I actually think it's really amazing that this is being offered with FHA and VA, because those tend to be tougher offers to get acceptance on. And it's not to say that it's impossible, but if you can go a step further with those types of loans and offer some advantage, because they do have some other roadblocks that sometimes will scare a seller away from accepting those types of offers, then, why wouldn't you go for something like this? Anything you can do to really create more advantage or leverage with your offer should definitely be taken.
Yeah. And this isn't anything where listing agents need to question it. It's just added reassurance the buyer is solid.
Right.
But conversation between you or me and me and the listing agents or the seller is fine. And that just so they understand how good it is.
Yeah. I think everybody thinks there's, a lot of cut and dry conversations that a realtor has with the agent on the other side, but honestly, it's different in every transaction that I've been in. The level of an agent on the other end working for the seller, the level that they care about that transaction definitely influences how they present an offer to their clients. It's important to have these open conversations, regardless of the situation, regardless of the offer that's going to be put in, just to ensure that they fully understand what the intent is when we're presenting this offer for our buyers. And I always say that it is critical that your agent has a relationship on some level with the lender that's involved in the transaction and the title company, because those three legs of the pillar are going to make sure that it goes through to closing as smoothly as possible. The fact that you work with our team frequently, I just try to stress that to buyers how important that is, to be able to call you up on the weekends, to be able to have a conversation with you via text, just to make sure everything is okay. And if it's not, then we can quick have a conversation about it and address things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of times when I get after hours messages or emails or text or calls, and maybe I don't respond in 2 seconds like usual, but I think most people know it's usually within minutes or the hour, or
Yeah.
depending what I'm doing, but it's always same day.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's been situations before where I've needed a lender to be available in order for me to put an offer in on a property that needed an offer that day. And if we're working with a lender that is not available on the weekends, which honestly, that does happen quite often. I just don't want the buyer to come out of the other end with regrets as far as looking for a lender that's truly going to be available to them.
Yeah.
One other thing that most people don't even think about is I include lenders in every offer to purchase that I send out if possible. So Jamison, I know that anytime I send out an offer, you immediately respond with different levels of reassurance on why this buyer is solid and why they're going to get to closing.
Yeah.
So that I think also helps.
Yep, and it's good for the listing agent, to see we're responsive, and if there's any questions on how solid the buyer is, I may say that in the reply, or it just helps keep everyone in the loop on the same page and helps the buyer win.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, I don't see any questions that came through. Do you have any common questions when you talk about this, how this process works with any of your clients?
I think the main thing is the first conversation about how important it is to upload and send documents. The sooner the better, because we can't give you this firepower if we can't show the underwriter documents. And plus, we should be reviewing documents just to verify the accurate gross income put in the application, where the money's coming from. Sometimes it cannot be cash. So it's very important to know that documents have to be seen for any sort of a strong pre-approval, even if it's not as strong as this one. They should be seen on every pre-approval.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing is people should do their homework. Lenders should do their homework before sending a pre-approval, which is what my team really, really does every time.
Yeah, surprisingly, I've seen that happen before where, someone's approved for a certain amount. They're like, oh, well, actually, we looked into your information further and now we're taking back what we pre-approved you for. When a lot of it comes down to simple questions, people don't necessarily understand what is needed to buy a home. That's not their role. That's not their expertise. And they shouldn't have to know that. That's why they're working with a lender and why they're working with a realtor, because we're the experts. And that's really the role we take on. when we're working together.
Yeah, there's a big difference in price pre-approval if you don't have the income verified. I mean, we
Right.
could be talking 200, 300. We really have to verify the income we're using, the money available for down payment and cost, and base the pre-approval off that
Yeah.
versus just
And the more accurate you can be upfront, the better.
yeah. And then obviously it will depend on the purchase price and really what the property taxes are. There's big property tax difference in different
Yeah.
counties.
Yeah.
You know, that could change a payment by $200 right there.
Yeah, huge difference. It can be a huge difference for sure.
Yeah. And
And we're seeing taxes go up right now.
yeah.
There's so many properties that are popping up for my buyers, and it's written in the private remarks, taxes are expected to go up in this village. Taxes are expected to go up for this property by this much. So yeah, being aware of that and how that plays into your mortgage is very important.
And also on that note is HOA fees. Every condo has different fees.
Yeah.
Some could be 200, some could be 400.
Yes.
That all
Yeah,
plays-
and condos are separate too. I mean, people don't understand that it's actually a little bit more difficult sometimes to purchase a condo. There's a lot more involved. And if you are FHA, not a lot of condos qualify for FHA loans. So the earlier you can talk to someone on the realtor or even the lender to understand what you can afford, and potentially what you need to do. Just because you're maybe not ready to buy yet, it doesn't mean you shouldn't start that conversation with somebody, because they'll really help guide you in how to prepare. Prepare your finances, prepare whatever you need to do to get approved for that loan. And there's nothing wrong with somebody not being ready right this second with their finances. It's just knowing what you need to do and approaching it as best you can so that you can win in the end once you're ready.
Yeah, condos are a little bit of a different animal than a single family home in regards to, we have to have a lot of documentation from the association. We have to make sure we can approve the property, check out the insurance, check out the budget, stuff like that. So it's a different animal that we really have to get that information sooner in the process than later. Otherwise you could be postponing closings and whatnot. So yeah, that's a whole different topic we could go over as condos.
Yes, I can talk about condos all day long if I had to, about purchasing condos. At the end of the day, I think the biggest takeaway is there is some really big advantages with utilizing Fairway's, guaranteed closing. Creating an advantage for the seller is really going to help you potentially get that accepted offer, especially if you're competing. Many people don't want to compete. That is my role and the lending's role, to take on that strategy and how we approach when we're writing offers. And we are going to make the best possible recommendation on what's going to be valuable to the seller when writing that offer. Guaranteed closing is never going to be a bad thing for the seller.
Yeah, for sure. It's just getting through the process and educating everyone on how cool this is and how well it works.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we are over on time, so I think we'll wrap it up there. But thank you so much, Jamison. This was super informative. I know I've already heard you talk about this process, but talking about it with you more in a one-on-one setting this way really helps me to get an even better understanding of it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, thanks everyone. Have a great day.